I wouldn't be able to eat because I get no views.
Yep.
Anybody got any questions about 1, 2, 3, and 4? Yawning is, while not contagious, what actually happens is when you yawn, the reason you yawn is your body needs oxygen. It's a deep breath, really. The reason you yawn when you're tired is because your body slows down your breathing to get tired. But your brain is like, no, you idiot, you have to stay awake. So we need some oxygen, so you yawn. And the reason it seems contagious when I see you yawn, now my brain says, hey, that person's in the same spot as me. They needed a big breath of air. Maybe I should take a big breath of air. That's why it works. See? No dis nor misinformation here. Wait, let's make it real proper. There is neither disinformation nor misinformation being espoused in this classroom. I know, right? Espoused. Another word you can take home and use today. Debacle and espoused. Try saying it to your grandpa and see if he slaps you up the side of the head.
Oh, my grandpa doesn't know English.
Then don't. But often grandpas are like, can be a little like, don't you be using none of those smart words on me. At least my grandpa was like that. I don't know about yours. Most of you could have grandpas that aren't too much older than me, so it's entirely possible. Huh? All right. There's 5 and 6. Yes. 6. All right. Which method do you want to use? Oh, wow. I don't know. That's asking a lot. But for you, Preston, for you, no problem. I'll even let you choose the color for complete the square. Why mine?
Can we do like orange instead?
So, sure. -2, +2. -2, +2. Stretch of 2. So, and a y-intercept of 10. So I'm going to go up to 10. That is -2, 2. So I went over 2. I should have gone up 4, but I went up 8. So that's right. So that is 0, 10. So this is -4, 10. And then x equals -8 over 2 times 2, which is -8 over 4, which is -2. -2. -2 squared is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 16 is, or 8 minus 16 is -8 -8 plus 10 is +2. There is 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10's graph is a little weird, of course, because it's a sad parabola. It's been watching This Is Us. Didn't work. Jasleen missed the joke. That was good. I said the number 10 parabola is sad because it's been watching This Is Us. Don't worry, Jasleen, I do too. Yeah, but you know, he wasn't. He was a drunk. He was a drunk, and he worked a lot, right? And he was pretty mean about her wanting to be a singer. That's the whole point. That's why it's such a good show. Randall looks like the perfect father too, but he's bat poo crazy.
He's bad. Look at his daughters.
And his mom, I hate Beth.
Beth?
Oh, I hate Beth.
I love Beth.
I hate Beth.
Don't she-
What, Madison? 10. Which one? Negative b over 2a. Okay. Vertex x equals negative 4 over 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4 over negative 4, which is positive 1. 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4. 1. 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Is positive 2. So why did I have negative 2 there? What have I done? Yeah, this should probably be up here. Yes, of course this should be up here, because the y-intercept is 0. This whole thing needs to be up 4. Preston. Graph 9. Negative 1, negative 4. Y-intercept of negative 3. So I went over 1, up 1. Over 1, up 1. Negative 2, negative 3. And there is 11, 12, 13, and 14. Sure. 14, of course, because of that, I would never bother with completing the square. Vertex x equals 5 over 2 times negative 1, which is 5 over negative 2. So y equals negative 5 halves, negative 5 halves squared, minus 5 over negative 5 halves, minus 13 fourths, which is 25 quarters negative 25 fourths, plus 25 halves minus 13 fourths. Negative 25 minus 13 is negative 38 fourths, plus 25 halves, which is actually 50 fourths. So it is 12 fourths, which is actually 3. So my vertex is negative 5 halves, 3. And then you would graph it appropriately. Okay. Negative 5 halves is right here at negative 2.5. Oops, it was positive 3. Sorry. 2.5, negative 2.53. There's no stretch. It goes downwards. So I got to go over to 1.52 and negative 3.52. Y-intercept was negative 3 1/4, so somewhere down here. 14 you wanted graphed as well. Same thing. It's positive though, so it is 1.5, 1.75. And I'm only doing decimals because that's what you people need to see. Over 1 is 2.5 up, 2.5, 3.75, and then 0.5, 3.75. Boom. Joseph. 12. What do you want to do with it? Okay. Y minus 30 equals 2x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus 32. Y plus 2 equals 2x plus 4 squared. Y equals 2x plus 4 squared minus 2. Vertex equals negative 4, negative 2. Anybody else? Excellent. Let us go on then, cabbages, to page I want to say 110. So, just a reminder. 1, vertex form. Y equals ax minus p, or sometimes it's h squared plus q, or sometimes it's k. That q looks a lot like a g. There. Right? Do I need to remind you of what all those things are? Of course not, because it's already in your notes and you've done it to death. Yes? All right. Next one we had 2, standard form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And we remembered c is the y int, and a is the same. What must we do with that? We have to either complete the square or vx equals negative b over 2a and then sub x in. Those are your options for standard form. Everyone should be good with both of those right now. As I speak, I'm going to continue to speak until I believe that all of you are looking at me in an affirmative sort of way. That is a very good affirmation, Ashneet. That makes me very confident. I'm not seeing a lot of that from anyone else, but oh, yeah, double. Well done. I'm still not seeing a lot of affirmative action from many other people, but I can't. Oh, there we go. Yes, we have one another. Yes, and that's it. 2 out of 28 is better than nothing. Let's go. Huh? Why? There's 28 kids in here. But that's not what happened. You're wrong. Yes, I am, because I am not telling you that's not what I'm doing. But that's not right. It's not a fraction. Yes, because there's 28 kids in the class. I can't say 1 out of 14. Because what if I were to split the class right down the middle here and the 2 people that gave me the thumbs up were over there? It would have been 2 out of 14. No, because that's 1 and 7, which means there would be 4 out of 28 that put their thumbs up, which isn't what happened. Why do you bother? I win this argument. I do know, Nago. I win. Huh? My rating is only going down, just like people on the internet that really give ratings. When I disagree with them, they say I'm giving a bad information because I disagree with them. Not because I'm right or wrong. We disagree, so obviously I must be an idiot. 1 star. If I could give them -5, I would, right? Because that's how people rate things on the internet. They don't care. Nobody on the internet says, "You're right. You've changed my mind with your balanced and measured argument. Thank you for helping me come to a more informed decision." No, they say, "Screw you, you're dumb," and swear at me.
You talked for 2 years to simplify the fraction. I was doing it.
Because that's what... Never mind.
I'm questioning your credibility.
Question all you want, man. Lord knows I go home every day and count my blessings that the 16-year-olds I deal with daily are up there on my list. She does. All right. Yes. Ash, your reviews are dropping now too, because you disagree with Sam. Apparently. You have an internet presence. You must be subject to people's opinions. All right. Okay. 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 Zip it. Okay. Zip it. Okay. All right. Now, again, I question why I was taught to put P and Q in this form, and I was taught to put P and Q in that form. Because in vertex form, what are P and Q? X and Y of what? The vertex. In factored form, they are not the vertex, right? And some textbooks and some tests keep using P and Q for both of these. That bothers me. That is why you have also seen H and K there. All right? I, of course, don't like any of this stuff. I like to learn what is happening when it's happening. I don't like to learn some form and then apply to that. I like to take the knowledge out of that, out of the form that has been given to me. So these are not the vertex in this form. All right? But they are, excuse me, adjustments. All right? And here is what I mean by that. If there's no A here, y equals x plus 7, x minus 5. What information does that automatically give you without you having to even think about it? It gives you something to do with x. What? Not the possible roots. It gives you the roots, right? Because we know that the roots of every parabola are x comma 0. And there's, now don't get this wrong, there's a positive one and a negative one. And what I mean by that is not necessarily positive and negative on each side of the axis. I mean there's one on the right of what? Vertex, and one on the left of the vertex. Okay? So this has a double meaning here. Sometimes it might mean positive and negative, but it more likely means to the right and to the left of the, I'm going to write axis of symmetry. I'm only right axis of sim because I'm lazy. Everybody understand what I mean? Every parabola, if it's going to have roots, has one on each side of the axis of symmetry because it's a U shape. Everybody cool? All right. So here we have the roots, don't we? What are they? Everybody should be able to do this in their head. I shouldn't need to remind you how to do this. X is -3 and +1. We're all cool with that, right? Now, if those 2 points exist on a parabola, then where must the vertex live? Smack dab in the middle, right? And we talked about this yesterday. How do you find the middle of any two numbers? Add them together and divide by 2. So what is -3 plus 1? What is -2 divided by 1? Or -2 divided by 2? -1. So our axis of symmetry, x equals -1. Now, is it -1? Let's check. How far is -1 to the right of -3? 2. How far is -1 to the left of +1? 2. So is it right in the middle? Yes. Is there any A value there? No. So we have to find the vertex Y here, don't we? Well, we now know the vertex X equals what? -1. So what can we do with that -1 right now to find the vertex Y? I can plug it in. What is -1 plus 3? 2. What is -1 minus 1? -2. What is -2 times +2? -4. So my vertex Y is -4. And then, before I commit to drawing it, I'd better check. I've gone 2 to the right. Yes? And I should have gone up how far then? 4. Did I? So can I commit to graphing this? Yes. Is everybody cool? Okay? So factored form gives us the roots. And again, it gives us the A. A is everywhere, right? And what do we have to remember about the roots? The vertex equals root 1 plus root 2 divided by 2. That is our vertex X value, right? Everybody cool? All right. Now, let me ask you this. Hey, did I need to do this in order to find this vertex? Did I need to sub that X back in? Or could I have found it another way? When I ask this question this way, what answer am I looking for? Yes, you could have found it another way. How? Joe? You could have just counted, right? There's no A value, so I know that if my vertex is 2 away from this point, exactly 2 away, I must have had to go down 4 to get there. Everybody cool? All right, so let's have a look at this one. How does B differ? Do I know my roots? What are they? What is root 1? -3. What is root 2? +1. Pretty similar, yeah? We already know what the vertex is. What's it going to be? -1. Now, what's different? It's got a stretch of 2, right? So when I go over 2, how far down do I need to go? To 8. So this is going to be, what's my vertex going to be? -1, -8. Is everybody good? Everybody's good? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? I'm going to look around until I see no quizzical faces. I'm going the other way, Ash, because only 2 of you said you knew what you felt good last time. So I'm going with people that don't look like this. To get the vertex? Well, because there's a stretch of 4, on a normal parabola, I would go over 2 and down 4, right? Or over 2 and up 4, right? Depending on which way you're going. But because there's a stretch here, I can't go 4. I got to double it, so I go 8. Okay? Everybody good? All right. So the third one is an example of what I was talking about right here, the plus-minus thing. Because what is root 1? +4, yes? What is root 2? +6. Now, you can see I don't have a positive and a negative, do I? But I do have a root that's left of the axis of symmetry and right of the axis of symmetry. What is my axis of symmetry? 5. So I know 5. Now, do I have a stretch factor? No. So I can go over 1, and how far would I go, up or down? Down. Why down? Because it's a happy parabola. So what is the vertex there? Oh, wait, I should use a third color. What is the vertex there? 5, -1. Now, let's say this boggles your mind. Okay, no problem, kid. You know that 5, everybody understands why 5 is the axis of symmetry, yes? 4 plus 6 divided by 2 equals 5. What's 5 minus 4? 1. What's 5 minus 6? -1. What's -1 times +1? -1. So my y value of the vertex is -1. Is everybody good? Now all of you also, without me even saying it, you should be aware that could we not expand that to get the standard form? And then we could complete the square on that to get the vertex form, couldn't we? Lot more work to do the exact same thing. I personally find it more useful to know what each of the forms shows me and work from there, rather than doing all this work to get it back to a form that I am comfortable with. But are you allowed to do all that work to get back to a form you're comfortable with? Yes. Will it affect your grades in any way? No. Will it make me mock you when you say you need more time? That is a possible consequence that you are facing. If you can handle that consequence, then by all means ignore everything I have said since we talked about this, basically, because if you can deal with completing the square, you're set. But I wouldn't recommend that. Okay? So, what's happening in the fourth one? Oh, it's so scary. It's making me lose bladder control. You are actually losing bladder control? You have to pee right now? Well, why don't you go? Because this would be a good time to go, because I wouldn't want you to lose bladder control when you have to already pee. Bye. I won't say her name because I don't want it on the recording. While that person is gone, let's have a look at this. Nothing's really different, is it? Are our roots the same? So I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to use green, 4. I'm going to use red, 6. Is our axis of symmetry the same? What is it? X equals 5, right? Now what's changed? 2 things have changed. The stretch, and it's a sad parabola. Yes? So, I could, if I wanted to, sub these values in, or I can say to myself, all right, when I go over 1, since it's a negative, I should go up 1, correct? But I can't go up 1. What must I go? Up a half, because it's half a 1. So what does that make this vertex? 5 and 1/2. Or 0.5, because you people all love decimals. Right? If there was a decimal that was just standing there beside you, dressed in rags, you'd be like, and then on this side of you, there was a fraction dressed in a beautiful outfit, and it was prom night, you'd still all ask the decimal. I don't know why. Huh? Nothing is wrong with the decimal, but when you go to prom, you should be dressed nicely, shouldn't you? Oh yeah, because prom night is the night of true love. I've seen movies. I know what goes on prom night. My first prom night at this school, some guy proposed to his... yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And because, like all people that get proposed to in public, she had to say yes. She came and visited here a few years later, the 10-year reunion. And I was like, hey, that didn't stick, did it? She's like, no.
Wait, you might have written everything?
Yeah. Well, 1 second. Okay. Now, what's happening here? Crystal, you're back. Oh, damn it. I was so careful. She's back from going into the hallway to talk to close the door. Yeah, and then she came back. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, what differs here? Yeah. Oh, not quite. No, not quite. Again, this is what messes you people up. Stop for a second. What are the roots of that equation? -3 and +7. Why? Yeah, here we go. Well, because you just change the signs. You just change the signs. That's all you do. You change the signs. Why? Excuse me, Joseph is actually trying to lay some knowledge on you people. Go, Joseph. Y equals 0, so... So either x plus 3 has to equal 0 or x minus 7 has to equal 0, yes? Now take this knowledge and apply it to here. Henry. Yes. It is 0 is root 1. And what is root 2? -2. On your last quiz, I gave you questions like this, and you all screwed it up when we were doing, no, on your last test, radical equations. When you had x times x plus 2 equaled 0. All of you forgot the x. Don't forget the x. Because if you do, you'll be in big trouble. What's the axis of symmetry? -1. Now, some of you have already said that the stretch factor is x. How can that be? No. What this really is here is y equals x plus 0 and x plus 2. So what is the a? 1. So I got to move 2 to get to, or sorry, that's -1. I got to move 1, so where do I go? Down 1. So what is that point right there? -1, -1. Whoop. Everybody cool? Now, ladies and gentlemen, please notice that really over the last 3 or 4 days, we've done no new math, have we? Right? We've done nothing new. We've done graphing that you already know how to do, and we've looked at 3 different ways to write the same thing. But all those ways to write the same thing all have x's and y's, yeah? They are just telling us different information about the same thing. Now, what makes this one crazy hard? There's a coefficient, which is a little bit barfy, but does it need to be barfy? No, because as Joseph said earlier, what must this equal? 2x minus 1 has to equal 0. So what must x equal? 1/2. And x plus 4 has to equal 0. So what must x equal? -4. So, oh, I should have made this red, because I've been doing my roots in red and green. See if I can do that. Let's see. Is it possible? No. So, now we're in trouble. Because we're scared of the vertex. We're scared of the axis of symmetry. Why? Because up until now, it's been a perfect split, yes? So what do I do to find the axis of symmetry? -4 plus 1/2, which is what? Get yourself, Sam. It's either in the back corner or somewhere up at the front here. What's -4 plus 1/2? -3.5. What's half of -3.5? -1.75. Now, tricky. Right? Is this a good candidate to count for? Why not? Because I've gone negative 1.75. It's not 1 or 2. So how else can I use this information to find my vertex? Sub it back in, right? We know this is negative 3.5, yes? 2 times negative 1.75. What is negative 3.5 plus 1? Negative 3.5 plus 1, guys. Please. Please. What is negative 1.75 plus 4? It's the same as 4 minus 1.75. If you had $4 and you spent $1.75, how much would you have left? $2.25.
Oh my
You're going to need your calculator to multiply that. I'm not even going to try to get anybody to do that without a calculator. Because the addition and subtraction was taxing enough on a Monday morning. Negative 5 point. Now, once again, I would suggest, and it will fall upon deaf ears because none of you will listen to me, all of that is easier to do with fractions. You won't believe me, so I am not going to risk taking this pen and impaling my amygdala. Never mind. Another word. It would be a real debacle if I stabbed my amygdala. I do not espouse dealing with problems by running a pen through your amygdala. Actually, I'm saying that wrong. It's amygdala. Sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've thought about brain physiology. I'm sorry. What? Rupees? Rubies. Movies. Oh. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are our patterns here? What does this tell us as we see it? It gives us the roots, because the roots are negative p. What does that negative mean there? Does it mean subtraction? No, what does it mean? It means, again, I ask you, if x negative 3, x negative 7, what are the roots? 3 and 7. So what does that negative mean? It does not mean subtraction. It means, starts with an O, ends with an E, has possit in the middle of it. Opposite. Opposite of what you see. Is A the same as always? And this will give us our axis of symmetry, which is our vertex x coordinate, if we take P and Q and divide by 2. Once we have a Vx, we can sub in for Vy, or we can count for Vy. Right? Okay, let's start applying. Again, this has been recorded, and again, as always, I give it to you all in this handy box right here. But because I have studied brain physiology, I know that writing it and reading it is the best way to make your brain absorb it. I will not make fun of you because asking questions is always okay. Where?
Y equals 2x minus 1, right? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So 2 times negative 1.75 is a negative 3.5 minus, no, am I wrong? Am I actually, I'm just like actually confused.
Okay. What is 2 times negative 3 where's our, so we got our bracket.
Minus 1 is negative 4.
Okay. No. Stop. Just stop for a second, okay? We're happy here, yes?
Yes.
Just. This is. Oh, this should not be. Yeah. Negative 1.75 because that is 2.25 away from both, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now. Negative 1.75 times 2 is negative 3.5 minus 1 is negative 4.5. Yes. So this should not be 5.625. What should it be? Should be like negative 9-ish. Negative 10.125. You are absolutely correct, sir. Now, we are here. Now, listen, please. We could already graph this, right? Is this a good candidate to complete the square? No, because of that 3, right? Now, wait. Is it a good candidate to do negative Vx? Is negative b over 2a? Is it a good candidate for that? Really? Because isn't that going to be negative 3 over 2? Doesn't that bring another fraction to the party? It does, doesn't it? And we want to avoid fractions. So, what do we call this form? We called it factored form, did we not? So what? Maybe we should try factoring this. Does it factor? To what? Now, does that give us our roots? What are they? And root 2 plus 2 plus 2 negative 5. Now, no stretch, yes? Okay, so now all I got to do is find my axis of symmetry. What is it? Negative 5 plus 2, which is what? Negative 5 plus 2 is? Negative 1.5, right? Now let's check and make sure we did our math right. Negative 1.5 is going to be 1, 2, 3.5 away from 2, yes? Is it 3.5 away from negative 5? Negative 4, negative 3, negative 2 is 3 and then a half. So we're good, yes? So we are right here at negative 1.5. Now, is this a good candidate for counting? Why not? Because it's a decimal. Over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, over 1.5. Right? We know it's the square of 1.5, yes? So we know it's going to be 2.25, right? Sure we do. But let's pretend that we're scared to square. So now we would use substitution. And I'm going to be very careful here because it was very embarrassing what just happened to me. What is negative 1.5 plus 5? That is the same as 5 minus 1.5. So if I have $5 and I spend 1.5, I have 3.5. Now, what is negative 1.5 minus 2? Negative 3.5. And what is negative 3.5 times negative 3.5? Negative 12.25. So my vertex is what? Negative. The vertex needs two coordinates, that joke. Negative 1.5, 12.25. Right? Now, you are smart kids, yes? Watch. If I went this way, 3.5, right? That means I went this way, 3.5, right? Get your stuff, yeah. It's probably back in the back corner. Right? And is there any stretch factor? Is there any A value here? So my stretch is always my X value squared, yes? Well, we just did 3.5 squared and got 12.25. Did I go up 12.25? Yes, so I did it right. Is everybody cool? All right, let's look at the next one. Is it a particularly good candidate for completing the square? No, of course not. So is it a particularly good candidate for Vx? Not particularly. So we're going to factor it. I need to multiply. I don't want to use red. I need to multiply to what? Negative 6. And add to what? Negative 1. What is it? 2 minus 3, correct? So y equals x minus 3 over 2 and x plus 2 over 2. Y equals x minus 3 over 2 and x plus 1. Now, normally when I am factoring it, would I leave that there? No, what would I do with that 2? I'd move it to the front. But do I need to here? No, because I'm only looking for the roots, right? So what are the roots? What is root 1? 3 halves. What is root 2? Negative 1. I put a little Dairy Queen curl there. Sorry, everyone. Do you all know that that's why they do that at Dairy Queen, right? When you get an ice cream cone at Dairy Queen, that little thing at the top, that's the Q. That's why they do it. It's to make a Q for Queen. I know, right? Fighting ignorance every step of the way. Negative 1. 3 halves. Trouble. How do I find the axis of symmetry? Negative 1 plus 3 halves. What is negative 1 plus 3 halves? That's the same as 3 halves minus 1. Half.
Oh my gosh.
What's a half divided by 2? If I got 50 cents and I divide it by 2, what do I got? 1 quarter. Yay! So my axis of symmetry, x equals 1/4. Or, for you people, 0.25. Is that okay? Let's check. This is 1.5, yeah? How far is it from 1.5 to 1/4? 0.75. Negative 1 to here is 1.25. Are we right? No. What have we done wrong? What is negative 1 plus 3 halves? Negative 2 halves plus 3 halves is 1 point, right? What is 1/2 times 1/2? Oh, what is 1/2 times 1/2? Because that's divided by 2. It is 1/4, yes? So why isn't this working for us? How can this be 1/4? Because it's not in the middle, is it? -1, -1/2, 0, 1/2, 1, 1.5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to go 1, 2, and 1/2 of that. It is negative, or it's 1/4, right? So why did everybody say this is not in the middle? Is it in the middle? 1/2, a second half, 2/4, 2/4, 1/4. Is that 5/4? So what's this? It's 5/4, right? So it is in the middle. When you're checking, you have to make sure you're able to do the addition here, right? 3/2 down to 1/4 is 5/4. Yes? You've got to be able to make sure. Because I've given these questions before, and if one of the roots is a fraction, kids are always all over the map with their axis of symmetry because they don't actually check. Make sure you count. Now, we know that is 1/4 for x, yes? Right? So, what's our y value? This one's, could we find it with calculation? I'm moving over 5/4, yes? Which means I should drop down 5/4 squared, yes? But what do you see as a? 2. So I need to drop 25/16 times 2, which is 50/16, which is 3 1/4. So what is my vertex? 1/4 x and -3 1/4 y. If I don't want to do that, I got to take that 1/4 back over to here, don't I? 1/4 is 1/4. This has to become 6/4, yes? 1/4 minus 6/4, 5/4. And this 1/4 plus 1 is 1/4 is 5/4. 5 times 5, 25/16 multiplied by 2. So I would have gotten the same answer. Who has to make the decision for how they want to approach this? You do. All right? I personally like to use the x and ax squared for myself. Because then it doesn't matter if I'm using fractions or not, yeah? But that's just me. I think I could probably let you do the next 4, but I would like to come down to here. If you could all slide down to the bottom of 112. So, I've gone back to function notation. We all remember function notation. How are we used to seeing this written this year? Y equals 2x minus 12x, yeah? What are we going to do with that? 2x squared minus 12x. Of course, we're going to factor out a 2x, and we're going to be left with x minus 6, right? So what are our roots? 0 and root 2, positive 6. So right away we know what b is, don't we? What's b? 6 is not a coordinate on a graph. What is b? 0, 6. What is A? So 4A1 is 0, 0. 4A2 is 0, 6. What is the equation of the axis of symmetry? Where does the axis of symmetry live? Right in the middle. You can do it in your head, but should you write it down because this is practice? Yes. What are you going to write down? Six plus 0 is 0 plus 6 divided by what? Which is 3. There's our axis of symmetry. But is that the equation of the axis of symmetry? What does an equation need to be an equation? What does an equation need? It needs an equal sign. So that is what? X equals 3, right? And finally, what's the vertex? Can we find it by counting? Can we find it by multiplying? Which way do we want to do it? Or because this is notes, should I do both? Okay. If I am going to count, I have gone this way how far? 3. So how far down should I go? Count. I went 3 that way, so I should go down 9, but I've got an A value, don't I? So what needs to go here? 2. So what is it? Negative 18, because I went down, right? So what's my vertex? 3, negative 18, yeah? The other option is I could do calculating. Y equals 2 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 2 times 9? 18 minus, what's 12 times 3? 36. What's 18 minus 36? Negative 18. And I get it the same way. Or I get the same number. I don't get it the same way. Where did I write that? 0, 6, 0. What? Here? 0. Oh! Oh! Okay. Now, look at this one. This is crazy. Right? Crazy. This is the last one I want to do in class. But I want to shepherd you through it, which means you got to start. What does that mean? No, it does not mean fog. What does that symbol, that dot, mean? I'm up. It is not 2. When it was 2, we just subbed it in there. Now it is x minus 2. So what do I do? X minus 2 squared plus 3. When it was 2, we put a 2 in for the x. Now it's x minus 2, so we put x minus 2 for the x. Now, that's vertex form, yes? So the vertex of f of g, fog, is 2, 3. Is everybody good? Okay. Now, why do I have a new letter here? H is not quite. Remember, in functions, the F and the G are the names, right? So this is function f, this is function g. I will pretend that I do not hear you packing up 7 minutes early. I don't care. H is a new function, yes? I get that new function by moving the vertex of this guy 5 positive x, 2 negative y. So what is the vertex of h of x? 5 positive, 7, 2 negative, 1. So what is the vertex form of h of x?
Good morning, staff students. Your morning announcements. There will be a brief
h of x equals
Tuesday, November the 5th, in
x
Winners Auto Shop at lunch for
what?
girls interested in
Minus 7 squared plus 1. Now, I want that in standard form. Fix it. X squared minus 14x plus 49 plus 1.
We are still short 20 student buddies.
X squared minus 14x plus 50. Right? And I want the y-intercept of h. Where's the y-intercept in that? Those 4 questions are your homework and filling in this sheet.
It will be open for 1 week and then closed to make the close so they can be in for the Christmas break. We'll be reopening the store throughout the year. If you are interested in ordering clothing and have any questions, come to Mr. Guidoff in 8 to 11 this week at lunch. The link to the store